Well, welcome again to our reading of Acts of the Apostles, and we're up to chapter 21, just this last little section of chapter 21, starting at verse 37, which fits more into chapter 22. So, Paul, of course, has been arrested in the temple, and we have now Paul Melone being about as agesthai. Normally Mello takes a future infinitive in classical Greek, but we've often seen it with just an ordinary infinitive. This is a passive here from as ago. Paul was about to be led into the parambolan, which is a word we've seen before meaning the barracks, and as that was about to happen, he says, historic present to the Chiliarch. Now, we get these expressions with a. You have to understand something like tell me. So we just put it in as a simple question in English, but it's something like tell me if it is lawful for me to speak something to you. So it's sort of may I say something to you? And he said, Hellenisti ginoskes, you know Greek. Uk ara su aiguptios. And now we get a question here for the ara. And surely you are, or are you not, expecting the answer yes, so are you not the aiguptios, the Egyptian, the one pro two-tone, tone hemeron, literally before these days, so in earlier times, anastatosas. This is a late word, it's an anastato. Anastasis is a revolt in classical Greek. So this is to raise a revolt. It's an omicron contract verb. Anastato. It's late post-classical, to raise a revolt. So are you not the Egyptian who in previous days stirred up a revolt, kai ex agogain, and having led out into the desert the Tetrachyscilius, the 4,000 men, tone Sicarion, from among, this is a partitive genitive here, the men from, or the men of, or from the assassins. This is a group, it's a Latinism here, from the Latin word sica, a dagger. Josephus mentions these lawless bands that were led off into the desert, and so that's the reference here. And Paul said, I am a man at Euodios, a Judean man, or perhaps a Jew, Euodios. For I am a man at Euodios, a Jew. Tarsius, a Tarsian, a man from Tarsis of Cilicia. And in apposition to that genitive we get we get polites, a citizen of a not insignificant city. So Greek likes double negative. So I am a citizen of a not insignificant polis, city. And I ask you, epitrepson, allow it for me to speak to the people. Epitrepsontes de autu, genitive absolute, and he having allowed it, having given permission, Paulos hestos, Paul, having stood on the anabathmon, on the steps, we've seen that mentioned before in the previous section, katasaisen, it's literally he shook, but probably waved would be better here. He waved with his hand to the people. So he waved to the people with his hand. Poles desiges genomenes, genitive absolute. And when much silence occurred, pros ephonesen, he addressed them in the Hebrew dialect. This must be Aramaic and not Hebrew here when it says dialecto. So he addressed them in the Hebrew dialect, i.e. Aramaic, legon, saying. And that brings us into then chapter 22, of which that really was a part. So, Andres adelphoi kai pateres. So, men, brothers, and fathers. Here, now, an apologia is a defense. So, here, now, a defense from me. So, here now of my defense, proshumas to you. Having heard that Prosephone, he addressed them in the Hebrew dialect, that is in Aramaic, that he was addressing to them in the Hebrew dialect. Malon pareskon hezukian. Literally, they provided silence all the more. So they quietened down considerably. Kai Faisen, and he says, and it's historic present. So this is from Phemi. He says, historic present. I am a man, an Iudaios, a Jew, gegenemenos, having been begotten, so having been born in Tarsus of Cilicia, Anna Tethramenos. Now this is from Anna Trepho, and this is the perfect participle here. So the verb is Anna Trepho, and because by Grassmann's law in Trepho is original Threpho, but the initial theta gets deaspirated because of the phi. Here the phi is gone because it's assimilated into a mu, and so the original theta comes back, and that's the reduplication. So this is a perfect passive participle from Anna Trepho. So having been reared in that city, or in this city literally, and pepaidumenos, perfect participle again, having been educated at the feet of Gamaliel, who of course was a famous Jewish rabbi. Kata akrebian, according to here, I think, the strictness of our paternal law. Zelotes, being a zealot of God, just as all of you lot are Semeron today. I am the one who persecuted Tauten Ten Hodon, this way of life. Now remember, the Hodos is the word for Christianity in very early church, so I'm the very one who persecuted this way of life, this Christian denomination, or this group of Christians, acri thanatu, up till death. So I persecuted them to the point of death. Des muain, tying them up, and paradidus, handing them over to the guards, they, men and women. As the chief priest bears witness to me, and all the presbyterion, and all the council of elders. Parahon, from whom also, having received epistolas, letters, Eparuaman, I was going to the brothers in Damascus. Axon, now this is lovely. Here we get another future participle. You don't get very many of these in the New Testament, but this is the future participle from ago, being about to lead also those ones there, being bound, being tied up. So I was going to lead those in restraint into Jerusalem, Hina Timarothosan, in order that they might be punished, from Timario, in order that they might pay the penalty. It's a passive subjunctive here. And we get yet another conversion story, which interesting to compare it with the other two in Acts 9 and 26. The details are not the same, as in Acts 9, and Acts 26 is even more vague, but I'll leave you to look at those. So it came to pass for me going and for me drawing near to Damascus. So we get dative participles here agreeing with moi. Perimesambrian, around the middle of the day. Well, that agrees with what's in Acts 9. Ex Ifnes, suddenly from heaven, a light, a hikanon force, a great light, periastrapsai, shone around me. Epesa, from pipto, this is the weak aorist, it's normally a strong verb, but weak aorist here, so I fell onto the edaphos. Now the edaphos is another word for the ground. It sort of means the dirt, so I fell onto the ground, and I heard, takes a genitive, a voice speaking to me, O Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? And I answered, Who are you, Lord? And he said to me, I am Jesus the Nazarene, whom you are persecuting. And those being with me, they saw the light, but they did not hear the voice of the one speaking to me. Now this is the exact opposite of what we get in Acts 9, where it says the other way round, that they didn't see anything, but they heard the voice. Again, adding to the mystery of what actually happened that day on the road to Damascus. But I said, What will I do, Lord? And the Lord said to me, having got up, Anastas, go into Damascus, kake for kai eke, and there it will be said to you, this is a future passive here from Lelio, it will be spoken to you regarding all things which, tetaktai, it's impersonal here, from Tasso, it has been commanded. So this is the, it's an impersonal perfect passive here. So it has all the things which it has been ordered or arranged for you, poiesai, to do. Hos uk aneblepon, and when I did not see, I did not get my sight back from the glory of the light, so glory of that light, Kera agagumenos, this is from kair and ago, to lead by the hand, it's passive present participle. So being led by the hand by the ones being with me, this is from Sun and Amy. So being led by the hand by the ones who were with me, as the moi, I went into Damascus. And a certain Ananias, a man who is eulebes, a word meaning devout, according to the law, well, as is evidenced by, being vouched for by all the Jews who were dwelling, understand there, having come to me and having placed, Epistas, having stood over me, he said to me, Brother Saul, anablepson, imperative from anablepo, to recover your sight. So he said, Saul, brother, recover your sight. Cargo for kai ego, and I, at that very hour, anablepson, I recovered my sight, and then we get this awkward ace auton, and in fact it's omitted in, you'll see it's got a variant reading. Some of the manuscripts leave out this bit because it's awkward, because you've got this verb anablepo occurring twice. Anablepo can mean to recover your sight. Ana has that sense of again, or to renew something, so to get to see again, but it can also mean to look up. And so either there's a variant, you delete this bit here and it means, and in that hour I recovered my sight, or you simply accept the fact that the same verb has two different meanings in the same sentence almost, and say, and I on that hour I looked up at him. Anyway, you need to consult commentaries on that, I suppose. But he said, the God of our fathers, pro kai riseto, this is a word meaning to appoint, and Peter used the same word in regard to Jesus in Acts 3:20. So the God of our fathers appointed, literally he put his hand on you beforehand. Set you gnonai, to know, tothelema our to his will, kai idain, and to see the righteous one, this must be Jesus, and to hear the voice from his mouth. Now, of course, for Paul this is very important because he wants to call himself an apostle, and he wants to be in the same league as Peter and the other apostles, and so therefore he needs to be able to say that he had met Jesus in person, and so that happens at this conversion experience. Hoti, because essay, now essay is the second person singular of the future from Amy, and you will, because you will be a witness for him to all men of the things which, the usual, we leave out the antecedent, you'll be a witness of those things which hierakas, this is the perfect from horao, you have seen and you heard. But now, te meles. Now, melo can mean to be about to do something, but melo by itself, without an infinitive, can mean to delay. So why are you delaying? Anastas, having got up, baptisai. Now, this is a middle imperative here. So it's get yourself baptized. Kai apolusai, and again, this is apoluo, and it's middle. Wash away your sins, epikalisamenos, calling upon his name. And we'll leave it there for this chapter, and we'll come back and finish the chapter in another video.